on the other line. Do you know how to fly a plane?
No, I don't know how to fly a plane, Barry.
You've never flown an airplane.
No, I've never flown an airplane.
You've never been behind the controls of a plane in flight. That's what you're telling me.
No, Katz, I've never done it.
Oh, I'll tell him. There's only some fucking... I know! Have you ever assembled an AK-47 in total darkness in 18 seconds or less? No, I've done it in 20 seconds. No, it's not going to work, man. I'll get Bobby Kelly on it instead.
Oh, man.
So that's what happened when I went to Katz's house. A lot of you hashtagged that you want to hear about Jennifer Aniston. I auditioned for the movie Picture Perfect while I was filming Jerry Maguire. So I went in with a little bit more confidence than I normally have. And we talked a lot about how I've had a very disproportionate amount of confidence to the resume behind me.
Which is shocking, because I don't, even though I've known you this long, I could say under oath that I do not believe that. I believe that's your winning formula.
What?
I believe...
What don't you believe? I'm confused.
You say that if I'm not mistaken, you said your level of confidence does not equal your resume.
When I went in to audition for Picture Perfect, I was in the middle of Jerry Maguire. I had Saturday Night Live. I had done one. I was halfway through one movie. That's all I'm saying. That my confidence level was like, yeah, fuck, let's do it. Let's party. Let's do it.
But I thought you were alluding to the fact that when you look at your whole resume, you as a person aren't as confident as it would appear that your resume is.
No, I work inversely to that the longer my resume gets and the more I fail upward and hover in the showbiz middle class, the more my confidence wanes. We're like, now when I go in to pitch a show, I go, I don't know, man. Because they tell you wacky things when you pitch a show. We'll get back to Aniston. Don't sweat it.
Yes, they do. We were at a network that shall remain nameless.
Well, it's not on the air anymore. It's the UPN.
I was thinking of another network that has a number in their title.
I was at the UPN, which was at the time an almost exclusively black network, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we pitched a show.
African American.
Walter, well, they look black. Walter Gauze had a great idea for a show.
Who is Walter Gauze? You want to tell the viewers?
He's an old friend of mine. And this is the water heater you hear in the background that Tom Cruise activates with his mind, we learned a few weeks ago. Can we deal with it? Walter Gauze wrote a great treatment for a show, and what it was called Brother's Keeper. It's a black guy and a white guy have the same mother, different fathers, or vice versa, however you want to work it. That's another thing you learn to do when you pitch a TV show. They go, what if the father's the one that they have in common? You go, what? That's exactly what we were going to say. I fucked it up when I said it.
So the show that I remember it, you cut to 25 years ago. It was a young woman who had an infant child who was divorced, marries a guy who has an infant child. That's right. It was more like a Brady Bunch who's divorced, and then they marry. They have a child, and it's 25 years later, and they have 3 children, all of different.
All right. So the mother has, let's just say for the sake of the tablet, a white baby. The father has a black baby. He's black. She's white. They get married. But they get married when they're babies. So they don't know anything else other than black father, white mother, both guys. And both of the other 2 parents are out of the picture. So it's just a white mother and a black father raising a black child.
But they had a child.
Raising a black child and a white child who are absolute brothers. There's no race, nothing, because it's a mixed family altogether. But then the black father and the white mother have another baby, like a mulatto baby, let's say played by like... A mixed baby, played by like... Is mulatto bad? Is it really? Jesus. Played by, if you think of like Mario Lopez would play like the little brother. And it was called Brother's Keeper. And the thing is, the little brother's going away to college. The older brothers fight constantly, but only about politics, never about race, because they don't know anything about that. And they go and they get the apartment underneath the baby brother when he goes away to college to keep an eye on him. But what happens in a wacky case of shenanigans is the baby brother winds up looking out for them to keep them from killing each other. Brother's Keeper. White, black, half and half. We pitched it to the black network, and they said, we're going to pass. And we're like, no, you don't understand. This is like the best idea in the world. You get a white actor, a black actor, an actor that's half black, half white. It could really work. It goes across all demographics. It goes for women. It goes for... They're like, no, that's okay. We're going to pass. But thanks for coming in. Barry and I stand up. We walk into the hallway, and the first thing we see is a framed poster for Homeboys in Outer Space. And we realized we had just been rejected by the people that put Homeboys in Outer Space on television. There was another time we pitched a show to Lifetime, a KP Anderson show, and they said, it just seems a little too Lifetime for us. And we were just, you fucking drive home scratching your head going, you're just making shit up to say to me. Instead of just the word no, you're making shit up because you think you're cushioning the blow. But what you're doing is you're driving me to drink because you just said it's too Lifetime for us for Lifetime. All right. So, I auditioned for Picture Perfect. I fly in from Los Angeles to go to New York. And I did a screen test in some place in Midtown in Manhattan. It was a Tuesday. And I'll tell you why I remember it was a Tuesday later. And when I auditioned, it was the scene in Picture Perfect where her and I are dancing together. And there's usually about 3 or 4 scenes. But there was a lot of guys there that were like actual, like big movie stars at the time. Matthew Broderick, Billy Baldwin. Billy's this tall, hot one married to China Phillips, right? Billy, yeah? We fucking get on the mic. It's a podcast. If you're nodding, nobody knows what you're doing.
Sorry.
Jesus. As Keitel would say, what are you, a silent partner? Tell him. It was like a goddamn shooting gallery. Billy Baldwin, Matthew Broderick, Jon Stewart.
And there was the person that
John
she was
Corbett.
dating at the time who she wanted to get the role, which was something Donovan.
Tate Donovan.
Tate Donovan.
And Jon Stewart and Tate Donovan, Jon Stewart, Billy Baldwin, John Corbett, who was super hot from Northern Exposure, whatever, I think, yeah. And then Billy Baldwin, I said, and Matthew Broderick. And then there's me. So these guys all are like movie stars. Jon Stewart was a comer. And we screen test, and we're literally like, it's really like embarrassing when you audition to begin with. It's a very embarrassing thing.
You should talk about that a little bit as a sidebar because a lot of people don't understand.
Well, you're going in to play make-believe, which is the easy part. And if you have the job, it's not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to grab Jennifer Aniston and slow dance and whisper sweet things in her ear and say nice things to her. If you have the job and you're going to make, this is all completely hypothetical, if I'm going to give you $250,000 to work for 3 weeks and you're going to dance around, if you have the job, I'm the guy. So let's dance, let's do our thing. It's not embarrassing to act like you've drank poison and you're dying on the floor as your body is being eaten from the inside out because someone put Drano in your drink, in your fruit punch in prison. However, when you walk into an office building in Sherman Oaks, California, and you take the elevator to the 3rd floor and you sit in a waiting room and you hear guys in the other room going, flat, and they go, okay, thanks. And you see a guy walk out and you realize, I now have to walk in, and you walk in. There's a video camera set up. It's like amateur porn when they just have that bare bones setup, like the girl off the bus.
It's literally worse than that because there's some kind of intern.
Hold on a second. How would that be worse than amateur porn? A girl off the bus from Michigan has to pull a double penetration, and you're going, no, you know what? This is worse.
You got a point there.
And I would like to know why the girl that does the double penetration is called the specialist. Why isn't the guy the specialist? Because if you're rubbing legs with another guy and you're snaking your foot around the back of his knees and your balls are rubbing together and you keep an erection, isn't he the specialist? Isn't the guy on the bottom looking up at the roof of the other guy's mouth, counting his molars, trying to keep his erection? Isn't he the true specialist with the other guy's sweat dripping on him in the middle of it with that whore between them? All right, let's move on. Here's the thing. When you audition, it's humiliating. You walk in, and as you said, it's a bare-bones setup. There's a video camera. There's like a film student working the video camera and reading the other person's dialogue. If you have the part in Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise is going, you ungrateful, unctuous, and he's pointing at you, and he's acting, and he's coming across the table at you. But instead, you get
some like person who's like an assistant to the assistant to the assistant of the casting director most times, and they're reading it like they're a functionally special needs person. It's like it's just
I'm so involved right now. I can't even explain to you how this is such a bad time for me. And you're like, you don't understand. I love you. And like, you're giving it everything you got. Meanwhile, behind this person and around this person sit 4 or 5 producers, the director maybe. The director and the studio come in last. But it's like the Politburo. It's like pleasing the Soviets back in the day. They sit around stone-faced because they already know, we've explained this in an earlier podcast, and Mamet explains it best in the book True and False. They already know who they want. You are an impediment. They know they want John Corbett, and they know they got to pacify her by bringing in Tate Donovan. But if they can get Billy Baldwin, let's do it.
Auditioning is similar to a lot of things in life. It's turning a no into a yes. And if you can do that, you're going to be really successful in the business because they do not want you. Like when you went in for that movie with Aniston, they did not want you. She did not want you. She violently did not want you because she wanted, number one, she either wanted another actor or she wanted the person who she was with at the time.
Her boyfriend was Tate Donovan.
Yeah. And so that's what happens. But even Jerry Maguire, Jerry Maguire, for those of you who know a little bit about show business, there's all these agencies that are out there that are big agencies from CAA to William Morris, Endeavor to, all of them, Paradigm, UTA. And what happens is the casting directors go down the line for a movie with Tom Cruise. They open all the envelopes. Back then there were envelopes. It wasn't electronic submissions like it is now. So the casting director would have boxes of envelopes. So you go through all of CAA's clients and you audition all of them.
Or not all. You pick probably 10.
But you pick the best ones of them. And chances are if you get the call from somebody at CAA when you haven't brought in somebody, you're going to do the favor and bring them in. Same with every agency.
Just so people understand what you're saying, you've called the top 10 from each agency, and somebody from CAA calls and goes, whoa, what about my man Barry Katz? You're not even going to see him on this?
That's right.
And the casting director will go, for you, I'll bring him in.
Yeah, like even when, I've been on a movie and producing a movie, a lot of times the director, the director wants to feel like it's their idea. The producers want to feel like it's their idea. So if somebody else is giving the idea in, it's like taking that joy away from them. Anyway, so at the time you were with an agency, Abrams Artists, which, at the time and probably
did
now.
Great things for me. Joe Rice at Abrams Artists.
Tremendous. Joe Rice, tremendous agent, one of the best agents in the business. And back then, Marty Lesak, who's now at CAA, and Ruth Ann Secunda, who's now at UTA, were your agents. But back then, they were probably between number 10 and 20.
It was a very small agency whose bills were paid and the entire business was kept afloat. This was explained to me by Harry Abrams himself. The bills were paid and the entire place was kept afloat by soap opera actors. They had so many people plugged into soap operas that that paid all the bills and everything else was ancillary income to them.
Yeah, and so at the time, Jay was a new guy for them and was really creating a lot of heat for them.
Burning up the charts, man.
But at the time, it was very hard to get. It's very hard to get an audition like that for a Tom Cruise movie and a Cameron Crowe movie when you're somebody who's a smaller agency. So they go through everything. They don't want you. They don't want those people. But you got the appointment.
They want Luke and Owen Wilson.
And I remember at the time I was. I remember this vividly, and I'm visualizing it. I wrote you a note. It was at the house on Willow Glen, and I remember writing a note before I went to work. As corny as it sounds,
we lived together.
We lived together at the time, and I wrote. It was in Taylor Dane's old house that we lived in.
She moved in after us, I believe.
No, we moved into her. Did she move in after? No, we moved. Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Stephanie Miller lived there, the radio person before Taylor Dane moved there.
It's a hot house. And our next door neighbors, everyone listening, it's all going to get put back on track. Don't worry. We haven't let you down yet. Yet, I tell you. Our next door neighbors were Dave Rath, Doug Benson, Todd Glass, and Brian Posehn in one house.
That's right.
You could smell the marijuana as soon as you turned off Sunset Boulevard and made